So, Mbali, many people will be watching quite closely to see how this unfolds. Perhaps as a start, let's sort of look back at what the salient points were from the briefing from the Basic Education Department yesterday.
And we know that there were much concerns coming out from last week. We know that pupils were expected to head back into school on the 1st of June, and that was stalled because we know that teacher unions had been complaining, saying that, well, places of learning are not really ready to be opening up their doors. There were those non-negotiables that they kept on complaining about. So we know that the Basic Education Department then used this last week as a week to mop up and ensure that, as they prepare for these pupils to head back into classrooms, the non-negotiables around the wearing of masks, the sanitizers, and all of those, they are now ready, and that they can also ensure that, there are issues around social distancing that they are also addressing. So looking back at what the minister said last night, well, she says that at least 95% of the schools are now ready to open their doors. I know that in Gauteng, at least around 14 schools won't be able to open their doors for teaching and learning. But basically, looking at the rest of the country, they are now ready to open their doors. And now we can finally see, pupils heading back into classrooms. And of course, this only looks at the grade 7s and the grade 12s. We know that there will be a phasing in of the other grades, at least from next month, Ayanda.
Yeah, and there are still salient concerns that are lingering even as we head into today. You're going to be keeping up with the Basic Education Minister. Give us a sense of how the day is looking.
Of course, those concerns that we look at, it is around the issues of the wearing of masks, the protective gear for teachers, protective gear as well for students as well. So those are the major concerns going into this new week. The issues around social distancing. Some parents are saying, well, how do you ensure that, children won't be able to hug each other? They have not seen each other for more than 2 months. So how do you ensure that, they are safe, and also the teachers are safe at the same time? So we know that they will be working alongside the health department to ensure that when teaching and learning resumes today, there are issues around screening when pupils come into classrooms, that there are the issues around the sanitizers will be available. There were also issues around infrastructure for some of the schools. We've seen reports throughout the week where infrastructure-wise, most of the schools were not ready. So, the issues around water and sanitation has been a really big concern. Even last night when we saw the briefing by the minister, we know that they've now also deployed water tankers to a number of schools in the country who have been having issues around the supply of water. So those are the issues that they have been looking at. But as you said, we know that the Basic Education Minister, Angie Motshekga, will be making her way to Guatemala on the East Rand. We know that some of the schools during the lockdown regulations, they had issues around burglaries. We know that, these are some of the issues that she did also highlight yesterday, saying that while they try and prepare for the reopening of the schools, they'll also be looking at those schools which have been vandalized. Yeah. So, it's quite important for her to head back to that community to ensure that, while teaching and learning does get underway, those without the resources which we saw that were vandalized now can begin to actually have teaching and learning resume once more.
That's absolutely important. Upwards of 1,600 schools that we've learned from the minister yesterday have been vandalized since the lockdown was introduced. One wonders what this means for learning and teaching in those facilities. Mbali Thethani, let me thank you for today. Thank you indeed for getting us into the picture. Mbali Thethani on that story for us throughout the course of the day.